The Flamingo Hotel Las Vegas is legendary, but it's rapidly becoming one of the most visibly declining hotels on the Strip, despite sitting on some of the most valuable real estate in Las Vegas. Guest complaints, aging rooms, and cosmetic patchwork upgrades are leaving visitors frustrated and asking a blunt question: what's happening to the Flamingo? That question only carries weight because of what this property used to represent. Back in December of 1946, the Flamingo opened its casino doors, followed by the hotel in March of 1947, at a time when the Las Vegas Strip barely existed in any recognizable form. Long before mega resorts and billion-dollar builds took over the skyline, this property helped define what Las Vegas could be, a destination built around glamour, entertainment, and spectacle, rather than convenience alone. For decades, staying at the Flamingo meant staying at the center of everything. The location alone carried prestige, sitting at the intersection of Las Vegas Boulevard and Flamingo Road, a crossroads that would later become some of the most trafficked real estate in the city. That reputation lasted for generations. The name carried weight, the history did the marketing. Fast forward to today, and that same location should still be a major advantage. Across the street sits Caesar's Palace. Steps away is the Link Promenade. Newer, heavily renovated properties surround it on all sides. On paper, this should be one of the strongest hotels on the Strip. Instead, it has become one of the most debated, and that shift did not happen overnight. Room age sits at the center of the problem, and the timeline explains why. The most widely reported major room renovation at the Flamingo began in 2011, when the Las Vegas Review-Journal detailed a $10 million remodel, covering 2,307 rooms, with the updated fab rooms rolling out in early 2012. Before that, another wave of room upgrades using the Go design started back in 2006. That means the most recent large-scale room refresh that guests regularly encounter is now more than a decade old. In Las Vegas, that is an eternity, which meant that while surrounding resorts tore themselves down, rebuilt, or underwent full gut renovations, the Flamingo largely stayed the same beneath the surface. Caesars did not choose demolition or a full rebrand. The company chose something else. What nobody expected was just how visible that decision would become. Instead of tearing into the core product, Caesars focused on selective upgrades that guests see first. Public spaces, food and beverage concepts, and high-traffic areas received the attention. Guest rooms did not receive the same level of reinvestment. The result was a growing disconnect. In recent years, Caesars announced a series of changes designed to signal momentum. Pinky's by Vanderpump opened in December of 2024. Gordon Ramsay Burger joined the lineup. New dining concepts like Havana 1957 and Cortadito Coffee House followed. On the outside, the Flamingo looked busy again. At the same time, the Go Pool complex underwent a $20 million overhaul, with construction and openings tied to spring of 2025. Caesars positioned this as a flagship amenity, part of a refreshed Flamingo experience, rather than a nostalgic holdover. But here is the problem. Those upgrades did not change what guests encountered once they closed their hotel room door. Reviews across multiple years tell a consistent story. Noise complaints appear again and again, often tied to late-night music and activity bleeding into guest rooms. Sleep disruptions show up repeatedly. Comments about worn furnishings, scuffed furniture, and basic maintenance issues follow the same pattern. These are not isolated one-off frustrations. They show up across platforms, across room types, and across time. And this is where Flamingo's location starts working against it. Guests booking a hotel in the middle of the Strip are not comparing it to budget properties miles away. They are comparing it to what they can see from the sidewalk. Caesar's Palace sits directly across the street. The Link markets itself as modern and refreshed. Newer resorts advertise room renovations as a selling point, which meant expectations climbed while the product underneath stayed largely unchanged. That gap is where frustration grows. Resort fees add another layer to the issue. Listings have shown daily resort fees exceeding $50 including tax, with the usual disclaimers about changes. For guests paying those rates, tolerance for worn rooms and noise drops fast. And this is where perception begins to harden. Tenant turnover also fed into that narrative. Margaritaville, which had operated at Flamingo for more than 20 years, closed in spring of 2024 following the lease expiration. Reporting varied on the final service date, but the underlying reason did not. The lease ended and the space moved on. Carlos and Charlie's closed as well, with reporting pointing to a lease dispute. None of that is unusual in Las Vegas by itself. Restaurants close every year. Concepts rotate constantly. The problem was timing. Those closures happened while guests were already voicing frustration about upkeep, noise, and room condition. Instead of feeling like renewal, it felt like churn. And this is where things became harder to ignore. In September of 2025, the Las Vegas Review-Journal reported on a lawsuit involving an escalator incident at the Flamingo, in which a tourist allegedly suffered serious injuries. Like all litigation reporting, the claims remain allegations rather than findings of fact. Still, the headline landed in a moment when concerns about maintenance were already circulating. The result was not panic, but erosion. Caesars responded by leaning further into the future-facing narrative. Late in 2025, the company announced a redesigned main lobby, a new lobby bar, upgraded VIP check-in areas, refreshed public spaces, and updates to Bugsy's bar, all framed as preparation for the Flamingo's 80th anniversary in 2026. New venues were also announced for the year ahead, including Salt and Straw and a country-themed entertainment concept called Category 10. The message was clear: the Flamingo was not being abandoned. But here is where the bigger question takes shape. None of these announcements addressed the core complaint guests keep raising: room age, noise, inconsistent maintenance. Which meant that while the Flamingo looked busier and brighter at street level, the underlying experience stayed uneven. That creates a strange tension for a historic property. On one hand, the Flamingo holds enormous value as a name. It is widely described as the oldest continuously operating resort on the Strip. Demolishing it would erase one of the last physical links to early Las Vegas. That history cannot be recreated. On the other hand, Las Vegas is not a city that rewards nostalgia alone. Properties survive by evolving faster than expectations. Right now, Caesars appears to be betting that selective reinvestment, brand partnerships, and location can carry the Flamingo forward without a full rebuild. The strategy relies on keeping rates competitive, refreshing public spaces, and letting the name do the rest. Whether that works depends on one thing: guests. If complaints about noise, room wear, and maintenance continue, the gap between what the Flamingo represents and what it delivers will keep widening. And once that perception sets in, it becomes hard to reverse. This isn't a dramatic collapse. There's no announcement of closure, no demolition plans, no sudden failure. What's happening instead is quieter, a slow decline shaped by comparison. Compared to what the Flamingo once stood for. Compared to what surrounds it now. Compared to what modern Strip visitors expect when they book a hotel at that address. The Flamingo is still open. It's still busy. It's still profitable enough to justify new investment. Its 80th anniversary is being marketed as a celebration, not a farewell. The real question is whether these upgrades are buying time or building a future. Because in Las Vegas, history earns attention, but it does not guarantee survival. What are your thoughts? Have you been to Flamingo lately? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe.